Welcome to the Best Business Podcast, the podcast for established marketers, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. The ones who want to join me in my mission to create 200 new multi-millionaires who solve world problems with entrepreneurship. If that's you, then this podcast was created to give you access to the tools, training, strategies, and tactics you need to achieve multiple seven-figure profits as soon as possible. This world needs the best business you can build, so please get ready, open your mind, believe you can do this, and let's build a better world together for future generations. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Daryl Urbanski, your host as always, and today we are joined by a very special guest, a man who I've known for a while, but who never knew my name until we met for the first time face-to-face in Connecticut. It was a VIP mastermind after the Titans of Direct Response event, and the man I'm telling you about is none other than Robert Scrobb. He's the president of the Information Marketing Association. He's also the author of one of my personal favorite books, The Official Get-Rich Guide to Information Marketing, Build a $1 Million Business Within 12 Months, which he wrote with Dan Kennedy, as well as Start Your Own Information Marketing Business, Your Step-by-Step Guide to Success, which was published by Entrepreneur Press. Robert Scrobb, CPA, CAE, is recognized as one of the best member retention specialists in the world. His experience is unique in that it bridges the world of nonprofit associations as well as for-profit membership and subscription companies. For the first 10 years of his career, he consulted with more than 47 associations, creating marketing campaigns for memberships, conferences, sponsorships, and events for dozens of different industries. For the next 10 years, he worked with for-profit information marketers in hundreds of niches to sell home study courses, seminars, online training, ebooks, coaching programs, you name it, he sold it. He's a proud marketer, copywriter, husband, and dad. Robert and his wife Corey have 2 children. Their daughter Samantha attends Florida State University, and their son Robert William is a junior in high school. In his spare time, Robert runs and smokes Partagas, number 10 cigars, although rarely at the same time. I've asked him to join us today so I can pick his brain with all of you listening in so we can share and learn from his wisdom and wealth of experience. Rob, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fabulous. It's an honor to be on your program, and thank you very much for inviting me. I think we're going to have a blast.
Yeah, no, I mean, we mentioned at the beginning of the call even, before we hit record, just talking about how your book, the one I mentioned, one of my favorites, the Get Rich Guide, it was a really important book for me because it really helped pull, there's like 2 or 3 pivotal moments, at least in my education, I felt like I came across just a wealth of knowledge and it helped me pull the strings together, and that book was really one of them. So it's just, for me, it's kind of full circle to be here creating some content with you, which is just awesome. So now, how did you get started, though? Where did you start off? You didn't start doing this, so how did you even get into the information marketing game?
I got started in the association industry and got a job working for a company that managed associations. So that can be even vaguer, what an association is, or a company that might manage associations. But what associations are, just groups of people with a like interest. They can be the Construction Contractors Association or the Medical Association, which is doctors belong to that. That publishes JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, and when they publish an article, it's often on Today Show or Good Morning America. So it's these industry-leading organizations that have memberships, that have products, that have conferences, that had all this stuff. And then I kind of come across Dan Kennedy in 96 through 99, started becoming aware of him, and figured out that there was these for-profit companies that have memberships and they have conferences and they have products. And I'm going, I know all about creating all those things. And so I started studying what these for-profit companies did and applying that in my association work, and found that it was a whole, all of a sudden it was kind of like adding fuel to the fire, and it helped me grow astronomically faster and in my marketing. Then I started working with Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer, and we created the Information Marketing Association. And kind of fast forward in 2009, I'd been doing a number of Jumpstart coaching calls every month, calls with members, answering their questions, helping them get started in the business. And, at that point, probably, 4 years, 5 years. And, Dan had on a panel, it was Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazer, and myself were up there answering questions. And somebody asked, is there any way that you could put all this into a step-by-step way to get started? And, Dan gave an answer, it's really pretty complicated. We don't know where you start or where you are or what resources you have. So I thought, man, going home after that, I just felt, I felt like there needed to be a better answer. And what I did is I went back through the recordings of all those Jumpstart coaching calls. It was, I think, something like 60 hours worth of audio, and I charted every question that was asked and every answer. And this is a little bit of a long-winded answer, but
no, it's good.
But so I charted every question and every answer that I gave, categorized those, and that became the second edition of the official Get Rich Guide to Information Marketing. So even before there was any sort of any writing, I was researching, trying to figure out what are the top questions the brand new information marketers ask. What are these answers? Now let me organize them into a meaningful guide. And as you know, there isn't one step by step, but in that book we give you 5 depending on where you start, and there's a little flow chart to follow, and it kind of gives you the 5 key ways folks get launched in this business, and helps folks get started step by step. So it was it's been a fabulous journey, and something that that's a book that I still look at and I'm really proud of. That second edition was actually pretty good.
Yeah, no, it is. Mine's marked up and noted all over, and the pages are dog-eared, and I've underlined stuff. And no, it really is. It's a great book. It was just really helpful for a lot of people, and especially the Ascension Ladder. That was really powerful for me, mostly because it helped me understand the relationship-building component of it, which I don't think a lot of people get. A lot of people, everybody knows that you need regulars in a business, and everyone knows that you need, almost members, which is kind of cool. Why I like that you're so focused now on the memberships, and that's how you're presenting yourself, because really that's when marketing, in a lot of ways, it's what you're doing. You're trying to create an association and a membership. You're trying to create an affinity, because everyone knows most businesses need regulars to stay afloat. And so how do you actively create regulars? Well, you make them feel like part of the family, right? You create a family. So I love that, and just the ascension path for that. So that was just a really big breakthrough for me. And like I said, in understanding the marketing process, just going from someone who just heard about you and they don't really know you, all the way through. And now we do that a lot in our marketing, like especially with all the automation tools that are available. A lot of the systems that I help set up with clients are almost like a choose your own adventure, where either based on engagement or based on purchases, they get ascended and they get moved up, where they get different types of messages and offers. So yeah, it was huge. It was huge. And you must have learned so much being able to sit beside and work beside, Dan Kennedy and Bill Glazer themselves, right, at the head of, was it Glazer Kennedy Insider Circle. So, yeah, so what are you focused on kind of now? Like you said, like you wrote that book then. What happened after the book? You launched the book, and then what?
Yeah, we published that book in 2011, and what I've done most recently is really what I've found is that folks really need a lot of help in the membership area. That a lot of times we create products, we create programs, and I have a client of mine that he came, and he's a fabulous guy, And he decided that, like I think when he launched, he had five different ways somebody could grow their business. And he felt, man, I'm going to really step it up, and I'm going to now give 10 ways. And then he wanted to step it up again, and so he created 15. And by the time we met, there was like 30-some ways that a business owner could really grow their business. And what he had created was something that was confusing, was too much, was really overwhelming. So when somebody came in and joined, they were just swamped. There was all this stuff that they to choose from, and that the customer was just kind of didn't know where to start and where to begin to create change for themselves. Right. So what we did is I had him focus on his three most important things. What are the three key things? What are the three best of all these strategies? What are the things that can get somebody results within 30 days? And let's put those first. And so now when a new customer comes in, they get these very simple step-by-step processes of exactly how and where to begin, and it helps them get results quickly, get belief, get a little money in their pocket, and not just believe in the marketer, but also believe in themselves. So it's a tremendous benefit to everybody involved. And so those are the types of clients that I've been working with, is helping folks who've got membership programs design them in a way and deliver them that it's a lot easier to deliver, and you get a lot more implementation on the part of the client, which leads to a long-term relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I ran a martial arts school for a period of time. We used to call that proof of learning, and you're so right. It was a big difference for me, at least with retention, when I realized that people need to see results right away. And it can be a catch-22, because sometimes I think the people who have the program and that, like Dan, he was like, oh, well, this is a big complicated thing, and there's all this wealth of knowledge, and that's true. And for a lot of people, to get the real results, like the real sustainable, like deep-rooted results, it does take time and energy investment, but people need to see some sort of progress right away, right? And so I think what you just said there is huge, to have three key things, three key results you can get your clients within the first 30 days right away. That way they see results, it's tangible, and now they can move forward with that. I think that's huge, that quick first win.
Like when it's kind of interesting, when you were in the martial arts business, you didn't deliver. So the first day a student walked in, you didn't try to deliver every single sparring move, every form, everything all at the same all right there in that day.
Right.
Here is a box of DVDs with every single thing you need to learn in order to become an expert at martial arts.
Right.
It would not have. It's like if you think, oh, well, I want to be so giving, I want to give them everything they need. Well, they don't need a big pile of stuff to go through. What they need is to understand where to start so that they can help believe in themselves as much as believe in you. And so kind of re-engineering that paradigm that more is not always more.
Yeah. Now, is there like any sort of rule of thumb? Because I know that hearing you say that, I know there's some people, and even I myself, because I've got member programs, you want to validate people's investment in your program right away. Now, how do you handle that with a client? If they're like, all right, I get what you're saying, Rob, that we need to show them where they're getting started, but they've just paid me blank dollars. I need to make sure that they feel they've gotten blank in value right away. How do you do that without, right? Because that's, I think, also part of where I want to give them so much that they say uncle, right? Because they've given me $2, I'm going to give them $1,000 worth of stuff. How do you walk that line?
Okay, so I'll tell us. Can I do it through a story?
Of course you can. I love stories.
So imagine, if you will, it's 3:27 in the afternoon. You walk into a restaurant and you are starving hungry. You haven't eaten lunch, and because you've been so busy, so harried, so much to do, and also you had chosen to skip breakfast, so you're just so starving you can barely even see. you finally find a server who was, busy with some table work, and now the server comes over, gets you a menu, sits you down, and you're greeted immediately by your server. And the server says, Daryl, probably doesn't know your name, but says, sir, I see that you're hungry, and it looks like we need to get you some food pretty quickly. These are the three things that come out of the kitchen the fastest. Number one, number two, number three. Would you like one of those to eat, or would you prefer to take a look at the whole menu? How do you feel?
Right. Well, you feel well taken care of. Definitely.
You feel like you can trust this person to actually deliver on satisfying that hunger. And so that's the same way you need to treat your new member. They're arriving. What is it that they are starving for? What is their problem that they're trying to get relief from? And as soon as they walk in the door, let's help them solve that problem and take some of the pressure off.
I love that.
Like for instance, a lot of folks that when they sell, a lot of the membership program, like the products I see, the marketer will create as their first module, we need to help you create a USP.
Right.
Well, yes, a USP can be a transformative piece of the business, but that's not fast.
Right.
That's not going to satisfy their hunger, and they can be working on that for a long time before they see any real tangible results.
Right.
Probably so long that they'd be distracted by somebody else before they ever got it done.
Right.
Or bored. And that's why I hear so many times, I've got this webinar series, and I only got 50% of the people who came to Module 1 to come to Module 2. Well, what do you think that maybe means? Maybe means they bought it and they weren't happy with it, and so they voted with their attention. And maybe they didn't ask for refunds because they wanted to be polite, or they liked you, or didn't want to hassle, or maybe they thought they'd come back. But the fact that you didn't, if a show on television, they run a pilot and they lose if it loses half its audience between episode 1 and episode 2, they are going to cancel that before episode 3. Shows need to build audience, not lose them. And we need to understand that if we see that kind of drop off, we're not delivering what they're really looking for. And so, Daryl, you got to figure out what they really, really want. What is their pain, the frustration? What can we help them with? And then, as soon as they become your customer, you can show up in writing, show up in video, show up with, as part of the welcome kit. Hey, we recognize that this is a challenge and an opportunity in your business. Do this, and you will solve this problem.
I love this. I love that. So now this is perfect because I remember your book. So that's a good way to find that out, because people are like, great, but how do I know that? I imagine you'd want to do a diagnostic survey. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly an important tool. Anytime you have a group of people to survey is very helpful. Me starting out, I wasn't, I didn't really have access to lists or groups of people to survey. So I would go to the events and meetings. And so if I was marketing to, say, movers and warehousemen, well, then I would go to the movers and warehousemen meeting and talk to them. They're sitting there, and before a session, they're just sitting around, and you can go in, you can sit down next to them and find out how. So how's it going? What are the? Tell me, what are the big aggravations in your business right now? What are the things that just really irk you. And generally, you want to know what irks me? Well, what irks me is, generally they've got something for you. And
Tell me what you really think.
You start going around the room, over the course of a day or so. You hang out at the bar, you are hanging out in the halls, meeting people, and all you're doing is you're asking them about themselves, and say, what is it that's going on in your business? What is it that, and folks are generally not asking those sorts of questions. Most people are trying to talk over everyone else about what they do.
Right.
And if you are a person who's walking around asking, then you're going to be very popular and well received. So just by asking little questions, you start to hear the way they say things. You start to hear the way they think, and it gives you great insight into their concerns and frustrations, so that when you create that product, you can sell to that. Now, the other way, Daryl, quite honestly, the easy way is whatever you promised in your sales letter, because you got them to buy, right? So you had all these promises of what you would deliver. There was some sort of pain that they had that you were promising to solve. Well, let's put your very best solution right up front. How long would you want to go to the doctor if the doctor said, I understand you're sick. Here are 31 different medicines that you could take in order to cure that.
Right, but which one should I take, Doc? Like, which one would you take if you were me? Right, just give me. What is it, Grace? Give me the baby. I don't want the labor pains. Just give me the baby. That's all I want.
And deliver that exactly. That's exactly what you want to deliver.
Yeah, no, I love it, because I had that fear. I remember at a time where I had that fear. I had my mentor at the time, and I forget what it was, but I remember I was like, but I don't want to give it away right away. And he was like, Daryl, when a band has the opportunity to put a song on the radio, they don't take their second best song from the album and put it out on the radio so that way everyone can discover their best song later on. He's like, they take their very best song and that's what they play nationwide to get people interested in the rest of their content. So I love how you brought that up. Like, let's take the sales letter, take that, and let's put your best foot forward. Because I think that's something that might be afraid of people, to be like, but what happens if I don't have anything else? Or what happens if the rest isn't good enough? I know those are like real fears and self-doubt that people have, but I think really you just need to prove people on the validity of your system or whatever it is that you have to offer, right?
There's so much that's out there that's disappointing. So if you make a promise that you're going to help solve a problem, and you actually deliver something that actually delivers what you promised, you are now thrusting yourself into a whole different echelon of in the way that those people, your customers, perceive you.
Right.
And if you deliver, like the doctor with 31 different things, prescriptions, and it's like, oh man, this is just more confusion and overwhelm. Help me. I reached out to you for a solution, not for 31 solutions.
Right, and now you've got that overwhelm. And I think that even comes from, because this is going again from when I had my martial arts school, but I learned a lot from that, because in the beginning I think it was about me worrying about what am I going to teach, but at the end of the day I was like, no, what are they going to learn? And it was more that, and it almost sounds like that, like when you mentioned that, that's what I thought of. Like, yeah, it's not about the doctor showing off how smart he is and how he has 31 answers. He needs to help you with the one answer you need, because you can really only implement one thing at a time. So that's great.
It is completely focused on the member experience and seeing your business through the eyes of the member to help them have a great experience and help them implement and help them solve their problem.
Right.
And what does that do? But it helps build a relationship.
Right. Helps build a relationship. Because I think a lot of people get caught up, and I love this because you're president of the Information Marketing Association. You were there with Dan and Bill, and I know that a big thing, at least in information marketing, it's often touted as like a lifestyle business. That you can generate, really good sums of money and have a very comfortable lifestyle. But one thing I've noticed is that at least the people that are doing really well, they're not on a beach like that. I don't know if that even really exists, and that's the other part I wanted to dive into, because I think it's a disservice for some people. I mean, we all want the luxury, the dream, and the freedom and the ability to take time off when we want. But I mean, even Dan Kennedy, he is a workaholic, He's not taking any time off. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not kicking on the beach with his 3 bimbos. Like, that just doesn't happen. Well, maybe he does on his vacation. I don't know how he spends his money in private, but you know what I mean? But I just want to address that part, because it just sounds like it's coming from a place of serving others, and I feel like we're in a society where, you're dealing with automated phone messages, or go to our website and fill that out. There's not like a lot of service anymore, or personal touch, or any of that part. And so just the membership part, the relationship part, I just think that's such an integral piece of this. Can you speak to that at all? Like, the whole information marketing is a lifestyle business, and, and never work again, and sit on the beach and drink martini. Like, can you talk to that at all?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting where I was kind of curious there, maybe where the hanging on the beach with the 3 bimbos came from. I don't know, but yeah. So, what is a traditional business? So, if you or I wanted to get into business, in our local, wanted to sell something. Traditionally, even just a few years ago, we'd have to go rent a retail store location, and you would have to set up you'd have to rent it and guarantee and put down a deposit, and then we'd have to buy shelves and buy inventory and stock those shelves and hire staff and stand there all day and operate hours and maybe even work Saturdays and have teenagers that are in charge of this thing that you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to create, and so that you have a few minutes of spare time. So that is the reality of how business was. And now the information marketing business allows you to work from where you want to, and it gives you location freedom, because just because you work in Iowa or at the beach or in Canada or San Diego, it doesn't matter about you. It doesn't hurt or help your business, because your customers can be anywhere. And so I think that's the real reality behind the hype is, if you really figured out what it would normally take to be in business, this is a pretty darn good gig.
Yeah. Oh,
and and to compare, it's like, yeah, there's a lot of hype out there, and people take it way too far, and I'm disappointed and frustrated because I don't know that they need to. It really is pretty awesome when you just put it in ordinary context that, really, you can set up these websites or have people set them up. You can, help people and be focused on generating good outcomes and have a business anywhere in the world. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is pretty good. And it's a really scalable model, which is, when going back to the martial arts school, that was the biggest problem I had in that business was it wasn't very scalable because of the market I was in. It was a local market, small market. So I like that. I mean, there's location freedom, there can be time freedom, and the scalability if you know how to do it right.
And we also talk about, limited contact with customers. And what I always thought about that, some people take that as, oh, good, I don't have to worry about talking or interacting with customers. And like you said, you're not going to substitute a online ticketing system for a real meaningful relationship. I mean, Daryl, are you married? I don't know offhand.
No, I was with a girl for 6 years, but that's about as close as I've been to marriage.
So even when you were with her for 6 years, if you had promised to bring something and you didn't bring it with you, would it have been acceptable to go, oh yeah, if you've got any problems, you need to put in a ticket within my customer service system, and we will address that within 24 to 48 hours.
Right.
That would not have been an acceptable way of handling that. And so when our customers call us and say, hey, I bought such and such and I didn't get it, they're not looking for a ticket system. They're looking for a real solution. And if you provide them with anything other than a real solution, you're not in a relationship.
Right.
Because relationships require this communication, agreement, and fulfillment. Otherwise, it's a one-night stand.
Well, can you say that? What were those three things? Relationships require agreement.
Oh gosh, I'm glad this is recorded. It requires commitment. You got to make commitments. So it's a kind of agreement, fulfillment. And there was something else in there. We'll have to buzz back and remember. That was good though.
It was really good. I was like, ooh, those are good. Those are three: agreement, fulfillment.
This isn't. I'm actually like thinking this up as we go along, based on these are like insightful new questions. We're just making this up as we go along.
That's right. But I mean, you're in a great position to do that because you've been in the game for so long, and even having said like earlier that you were on the, like Dan Kennedy is an icon, and he's the godfather of information marketing as far as a lot of people are concerned. They don't know the history before him, but he was definitely a huge whale of an evangelist and promoter and trainer of it. So having been, involved with that, you've seen so many people come and go in the industry. You've seen so many of the mistakes people have made. You've seen the successes. You saw the things that they had that made them successful. So yeah, I mean, you say you're making this up as you go, but you're really drawing on such a wealth of knowledge and experience. So it's very, very valuable, and that's why you get those little gems like that come out. So.
Yeah, well, that works. It's kind of weird to hear you say that because for like my entire career, I was always the youngest one in the room. And so it's kind of strange. I mean, I'm still only 44, but there's all of a sudden there's all these younger people,
yep.
and so it's kind of strange not being the youngest one in the room anymore. But yeah, I've been at this for a long time.
And I feel that I can feel you with that. I'm 32, and I feel the same way. And there's a lot of people coming into this, and I'm pretty new. I'm actually only like 5 years deep into this game, I guess, myself, from like first stumbling onto it. But there's so many people that come in, they don't know the history of anything, they don't understand the principles. A lot of them just copy the tool, like copy what other people are doing, right? So, but one thing before I go take us on a tangent, I did want to ask about that, because having been in this and seeing people rise and fall, are there like major mistakes you see people making? Like, are there just things that people are doing that just like in any information business that you notice that they're just like simple novice mistakes that people do? Or like one of the things that we talked about too, we talked about overwhelming people when they first come on board, not having an onboarding process from the client's perspective. The next thing that you mentioned, which was a great analogy, was having just neglecting the relationship. Like someone has a real problem, they feel violated, because if you spend money and you get nothing in return, you don't get what you expect, you feel violated, you feel cheated, and then and they're supposed to go submit to a ticketing system. That's a really frustrating experience. So you could definitely improve relationships by having even a call center. Even if they say, sorry, this is a call center, at least there's a human to hear that person, right? Are there any other big major mistakes you feel you see people make or have seen people make?
I think that it is critical to get started where you are. I had a client here, and just last week, and we started him with he has a little bitty list. And so, he had kind of not done anything with it. It's like, let's just send an email once a week, and then next month we'll send an email twice a week, and then the next month we'll send an email 3 times a week, and let's just begin. And every email you could say, if you like this and you think someone else will appreciate it, please forward this on. If you would prefer to be off the list, then click here and you won't receive any more of these emails, so that he can start building an audience. So there's such a focus, as it should be, on getting started. What happens, though, is folks get stuck in that kind of mindset of, let me just get this out, that they don't go back and really continually improve. They kind of get to a point where things seem to be going okay, and then they stop trying to get better. And what that does is there becomes these endemic little like pinpricks or holes in their business where money goes out, and like a pilot, they've got to go through hundreds of hours of training and flight simulation and flight time and hours in the sky before they're ever a pilot the first time, and then they got to go back and get continually recertified and updating their training. And there's this tremendous focus on improvement and being ready for that situation when it happens, that they can make an instinctive response, and that is, and the response is 100% what it should be. Whereas in our industry, it's kind of like, let's throw that up there, let's throw that, and we never go back and become as good as we could be and continue that improvement transition and trend, so that we can go back and deliver better product. We can help more people and kind of plug these holes in our bucket so that our businesses can grow a whole lot faster than they currently are.
Well said. I agree. I agree that sometimes, the good can be the enemy of the great, but paralysis by analysis in the beginning. I say that sometimes with my clients, at least with some of the campaigns. I say, nothing is going to suck as much as when you first get started. So the good news is if we just get going, Gary Halbert, I got that from one of Gary Halbert's letters. You don't have to get it right. You just got to get it going.
Correct.
And I think you're right. If anyone's listening to this and they're new and they're thinking about getting started, just do it. It's going to be a train wreck, so just get through it. Like a Band-Aid. Just get through it already. Just get up and going. And it's a muscle that you need to develop. And it's, your first day at the gym. It's, you're going to sweat. You're going to feel good afterwards. You're going to struggle during. But it's just a muscle you need to flex and just get really good at and just keep moving forward. But I really do appreciate the going back part, because at least for myself, I definitely see that there's the flashes in the pan, and then there's the people that are still here, 10, 20, 30 years later, and, they've actually built something for themselves. And even, for some of us that are into the autoresponders and that, I mean, something like for generations, I was joking with a buddy of mine, he's like, if he died today, his family wouldn't know how to turn things off. Like his accounts are all paid, his websites are all paid for the next 5 years. His autoresponders are paid in advance. So he's like, I could die and no one would know. Like his family wouldn't have a clue how to shut anything off, but money would keep showing up in the bank account, right? So that's awesome. That's huge, to build that sort of structure. So.
And I think that it is critical to get it out and not allow the great to be the enemy of good, but at the same time, when we have the good implemented, then it is often there's a lot of inertia to go back and go, okay, yeah, we did that, and it took a lot of work, but let's look at now that we've had it implemented for 6 months, a year, or 2 years, and let's go back and see if it really is serving us as good as it could. And let's make sure that the way we're welcoming our new customer, our new member, is really as good as it could be. Now that we've heard from our customers their concerns, questions. We used to go back all the time, and based on if we took responsibility. If we kept getting the same question over and over again, then we'd go into not just the welcome kit, but also the sales letter, and make sure we explain that point up front, so that when they came in, they had an understanding, and they weren't frustrated. If you're systematically ticking off your customers, even a percentage of them, then you're not serving you're not serving them, you're not serving yourself.
Right, and it's again, business is so Shakespearean because those small group of people may turn on you at some point, or just the trail of bad reviews they leave, even though they might be a small segment of your group, especially in today's day and age, right? It could just, it could just be a thorn in your business's side and limit your growth potential. So that's awesome. So how about habits? Have you noticed that there's been disciplined habits that people have had, or for yourself, that have helped lead you to be successful? We talked about onboarding people properly. We talked about building a long-term relationship. We talked about fulfilling on the promises that we've made people. We've talked about just getting going if you haven't started, and if you are going, to go back and really just try to, go back and fix the things that you know you should and could do better. But what about habits as the business owner themselves? Is there something you see in clients that they've got certain characteristics or routines that you think serve them really well?
That's an interesting question. It's pretty diverse, but I would have to think that overall they're pretty manic about making sales and making money, and that is what they are really focused on, having a score board of and where they want to hit, and pushing those numbers so that they can get there.
I like the scoreboard part. Having a scoreboard, I know, and it's funny because when you mentioned that, I had like 5 clients pop in my head. I'm like, that is definitely them.
It's like, having some sort of, so you can call it a dashboard or what have you, but, some sort of number that you're looking to push, and that is a competitive drive to go, I want to make that happen. Let's jump on that.
Got it. Yeah, that's a really good one. So who was your role model, I guess, when you first got started? You said Dan Kennedy. Was he your big role model your entire career?
Certainly. I discovered him at first in '96. So at that point, I was 25 years old, and started reading his books and buying products. And I actually, in '99, or maybe it was 2000, it may have been 2000, 2001, something like that, I got a $7,500 commission from a client because I had I'd sold some memberships and earned a bonus, and I invested that bonus into what at the time Dan Kennedy called the mother load, which was a copy of each one of all of his products, and then that's really what set fire to that to my interest. And 2004, I joined his coaching program. Maybe it was 03 or 04 or something like that, and then we kind of went from there. I had the opportunity to meet Bill Glazer, and Bill is as much as I like Dan, I've really always thought very highly of Bill Glazer and what he brings, and how his insight. He's made me more money than anybody else. And his approach to business. And then also I pay attention. I like Seth Godin. I like I study a lot of radio show entertainers, a lot of personalities, people who are building followings of all types. Study a lot of churches. I like Rick Warren's work. I think anybody in membership could really benefit from studying what churches do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, because they have talk about evangelists.
Yeah, no question.
So
I like Vern Harnish. That book, his new book is Scaling Up. Very, very simple, practical things that you can learn about how to systemize your business and work with a team. All right there. It's an excellent primer. It's pretty deep to dig through because it's dense, because there's so many really great strategies. But picking out something that's going to work for you and implementing it, the Scaling Up book is invaluable.
Good. Now, I had a question. When you said you learned so much from Bill Glazer. He's definitely influenced me. What was some of the best advice he ever gave you?
I think it was really him that I really understood that he's, so some people, they create a transaction to make a sale, and other people have a transaction that sets up multiple sales at one time and make that transaction create a stream of sales. And it was really sitting in that room listening to that I really kind of figured out. I mean, I'd been doing membership even at that point for probably 15 years, but to really, it's where I really started understanding the power of what I was dealing with, and how, even though I was in a nonprofit world, the language of membership, the language of forming this relationship and group and helping folks feel like they're part of something bigger, and how valuable that was, and really leaning into that. But that was one thing. And Bill was just so very practical and specific about the advice that he gave, that I thought it was. I just thought it was very brilliant. And also, of course, he's no slouch in the membership department. I mean, who would have thought that it was possible to create a membership for a menswear store,
right,
where people have to be members in order to come in and shop for clothes, in an environment with all kinds of competition with these big box retail stores right down the corner selling 17 suits for the price of one, or whatever the deal is this week. And here is Bill saying that, oh no, we're members only here.
Yeah, I guess I never really realized that, but I guess you're right. Bill really is a membership. I mean, like you, he's very much the membership guy. I knew about his clothing store, and I knew that he had loyalty programs in that. But you're right, bringing that out, because Glazer Kennedy, Insider Circle, his store, that's all very membership based. And I fully agree with you. That's one thing that I think really empowered me with my marketing, is realizing the lifetime customer value and what you can actually afford to get a customer, and then being able to spend that. Because oftentimes your competitors will be terrified to spend any money to get a customer. So if you have any kind of confidence in that, and you've got a stream of sales every time you make one sale, that can be really empowering for helping you fight off competitors or changes in your industry. So
no question.
Yeah. Rob, you've dropped so many good gems on us. This is good. This is a great call. Yeah, no, I've really loved this. This has been awesome. Did you ever feel anything was ever holding you back in your career? Was there any time that you felt in your own development and progress, you had the tools, you had the knowledge, but something was holding you back that you figured out and overcame? Is that something?
I think one of the downsides of selling membership, especially on continuity, is that you've got to finance it, and especially if you're doing a free trial offer, you might, maybe it costs you $150 of advertising and marketing in order to get a new customer, and then and then you're selling a free trial, which now you have fulfillment cost for the months that they're a member, and they don't pay until 60 days later. It can take 4 or 5 months to get your $150 back that you invested on getting that member. And so when I flipped to monthly continuity, because that was what was selling, it became the reality. There's this hidden reality of that you've got to really come up with some cash in order to finance the growth. And what I have since done instead is especially for new information marketers or other new programs, I'll almost always sell a product on the front end that can finance the marketing costs. That even though you're going to get a fewer new customers because there's this front-end purchase versus having a free trial, generally the customers are better. You got a higher retention, and most importantly, your customers help fund your marketing. And
Right.
I think that was the kind of the big lever.
So do you mean by having a product that comes with a 30-day, like, I sell this program and it comes with a free 30-day trial to my membership? Is that what you mean? Like attaching it to, if you've got a continuity program, attaching it to a product sale?
Yes, having some sort of front-end product, and then having the membership as a bonus that they can opt into.
Got it. But before we go, can you talk about kind of like how do people get in touch with you? What's the best way to get on your list or to contact you? If people are like, Rob, this is great content. You obviously know your stuff. If Daryl trusted in you and you were, a critical piece in his career, maybe you can help me too.
The best way is I've got a great report that outlines how to create a membership program from scratch at memberretentionreport.com. memberretentionreport.com.
Perfect. Membershipretentionreport.com.
Memberretentionreport.com.
Memberretentionreport.com. And if they want to reach out to you personally, is there any good email address or find you on social media or anything? Or
probably the best is if you go to the memberretentionreport.com and you can reply to an email from there. It'd be easy enough. It'll come to me.
Perfect. All right, so we'll be sure to include a link in the notes. Was there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
That's it. It's time to. Our next call's coming in, so I need to get going.
Okay. Well, Rob, thank you so much for your time today. It was an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye, sir.
You've reached the end of our interview. Now, first, let me thank you for listening. I appreciate and respect you more than you'll ever know. And now I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. First, what 3 lessons did you just learn? What 3 aha moments just jumped out at you? Second, what can you implement for yourself and your business in the next 24 hours? Third, what can you give to someone else to help you with, or give to them to just do it for you? Whatever it is, remember, taking action is the secret sauce to results. Now, if you think this interview would be helpful for a friend, please give them a link to it. It'll help them and it'll help me too. I'd also like to invite you to help me find out more about the challenges you're facing, your dreams, your goals, and how I can help you overcome what's holding you back. We both do better when we know better, and your success is my success. So please reach out and interact. You can visit our website, bestbusinesscoach.ca for Canada or California, where I'm from and where I'm living. You're welcome to also try out one of our paid programs. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and pretty much every other social media channel you can think of. You should also subscribe to the podcast, and if you're enjoying them, please leave us a nice review. It really helps. That's all for now. Once again, thank you. Take care of yourself, and remember, the world needs the best business you can build. And I believe in you.